Welcome to the final installment of The Power of Saying No. Over the past few weeks, we've been exploring together some of the ways in which saying no can be both useful and empowering. Today, I want to reconcile some of these thoughts so that you can walk away knowing how to use no as a tool for prioritization and strategy, rather than merely seeing it as a word that is associated with rejection. Now, we all love the word yes. Yes! It opens doors, opportunities, and options. Not to mention that it feels good to be right, as well as to be validated.
But first, a deep sip from a very tall glass of I told you so.
Hearing or saying yes might be the word that you think is always going to move you forward in life, but it is actually only useful when you know exactly what you want and it's time to go out and get it. Think about it for a moment. Is saying yes quite so beneficial when there is an excess of noise or options, or when you're lacking focus or clarity on where you want to go? Potentially not. While yes is about opportunity, no is about strategy. If you try to say yes to everything, the truth is that you end up never really saying yes to anything at all. Jack of all trades, master of none, as the old saying goes. Unfortunately, the story doesn't always just end with not being particularly brilliant at any one thing though. If you really push it, you can end up in the land of too many mistakes, brain fog, burnout, overwhelm, and this life of stress can make you really quite sick. If you try to say yes to everyone, the same sort of problems can happen, but you get this sort of extra higher risk of ending up with a wonderful side serve of self-abandonment for your efforts as well. We do not have infinite time, resources, or energy. So the more that you end up scrambling around for everybody else, the more likely you are that you're never going to get around to yourself. Incidentally, if you were to go back over some of the recent content I've made, you'll be able to find some helpful tips on what to do if you struggle with people pleasing or with connecting to your own priorities. So no doesn't have to be about rejection. It can also be about priorities. In this context, really what you're saying is, no thanks to this, I want this more. It is about opening up resources and space for what matters the most. You're not going to be able to prioritize or focus if you don't say no to the chaos. Truth be told, doing this is probably at times going to ruffle some feathers, and it may sometimes require going against the crowd. So this is precisely what can make implementing these changes so scary in the first place. But please try to remember that just because something is the norm doesn't make it right. And just because something isn't popular doesn't make it wrong. Saying no can teach you a lot about yourself, particularly in the instances where you do go against the norm. Because isn't it interesting that even though this one thing might not be popular, you still are interested in it? Or even though this other thing is popular, you don't care about it. That must be pointing to something that pertains specifically to you. So when pressure is on for you to say yes, and you don't really want to, and you have the courage to say no, you actually end up learning something about your values. So please bear in mind that just saying no for the sake of it and for the thrill of it is not what we're intending here at all. This is about listening to yourself and spending time with yourself so that you are able to connect with your internal voice and with your preferences and your instincts. It is about separating yourself from the eternal doom scrolls and the echo chambers so that you can find out who you are when you're not being told who you should be. It is admittedly about practice and mistakes, about challenging conversations and courage. It is about gradually building up the trust in yourself to make good decisions and trust in yourself to have your own back when things don't go according to plan. It is about the joy of missing out on all of that noise so that you can be fully present for that one and only life that is yours. I hope that you found this series on the power of saying no useful and interesting. Next time we're going to turn our attention to that burnout epidemic that we all seem to find ourselves in the middle of. Join me as we start to explore a more complete and compassionate way to look at rest. We're going to be covering some strategies and helpful shifts in beliefs that will help pull us out of that wide and tired cycle of misery and place us into a more restful and peaceful state. Until next time. Now, we all love the word yes. It is the word There we go, here it begins. I started strong, but it didn't last. Hi, welcome to the final installment of The Power of Saying No. I was nailing it too!
Teamwork.
Is that why you did this? So I can't get away when you pull shit like that.
Till death do us part.
Oh, which is going to be in about 2 minutes when that hits me.
A few moments later.
Oh! Ah, smells like commitment. Wow.
Alright, my bad. Oh, sorry.
Power of saying no and just lets one rip.
I said no to internal combustion.
Oh, it still smells. All right, I've got to pull it together now. You ruined me from the get-go. I actually can't do this now.
2,000 years later.
It is admittedly about practice and mistakes. No, sorry. Oh, I did get it right. It is admittedly. Now I can't talk. So that you can focus and enjoy that one and only life that you sakes tippy taps. So that you can be fully. Something got. I felt my eyelids stick together, and then I'm like, no.
In my
Nope, can't save it.